Back to NewsWire here on SportsGrid. NFL trade deadline is tomorrow, so we'll get to that and also the latest in the NFL. We've got a couple of coaches now out of work in the National Football League. Let's bring in Adam Caplan. And, Adam, let's start off with the news today. Dennis Allen shown the door by the New Orleans Saints. I really don't know what the Saints' expectations were, to be honest with you, at the beginning of the season. They looked very much like a 500 or sub-500 team going in. Dennis Allen, generally speaking, where he's been previously, currently, not great coordinator, hasn't had a ton of success as a head coach. So do we have to go higher here in the Saints hierarchy to really decide who to put blame on here for this?
No, I thought, Craig, you set up very well. The belief around the league was that they'd be somewhere around 7, 8, or 9 wins. And after the first 2 weeks where they just, it was incredible. Clint Kubiak, the new offensive coordinator, 91 points, their defense looked good, everything looked good. Then Derek Carr has this oblique injury. The defense falls off, and that's the side that Dennis Allen comes from. He's really responsible for. They're running his scheme. The defense was never dominant like most people thought it would be. They're not even good at home anymore, where they were dominant for most years under Sean Payton, and they just kind of fell off. Mickey Loomis, their general manager, did go on record today in their statement, talking about they had their share of injuries. There's no question about it, but you really can't blame injuries when it comes to their defense. Just not good enough. Dennis Allen, by the way, is a very good defensive coordinator, but as a head coach, it just didn't happen. He was very young when he took over as the Raiders head coach in 2014, where he got to know Derek Carr, and they got reunited, obviously, with the Saints. And look, the other thing is, Derek Carr overall has not played good football in many, many years. He's not been consistent. So if you take it, you talk about the hierarchy. If you take it, it's not just the head coach. I get that the head coach is going to be responsible, but there's the roster billing, cap issues, which they continually have. It's a challenge every year with them. And it's funny, after 2 weeks, people thought, did we all miss on this team? No, we didn't. We thought they'd be mediocre, and they're really worse than that.
Yeah, it just hasn't been a great month and a half for them, without a doubt. All right, so the trade deadline is coming tomorrow. Adam, generally speaking, we spend way too much time talking about the trade deadline because usually very little happens. I mean, I'm just being honest. We throw all these things out there. I mean, this is the one sport, generally speaking, that is quiet outside of that big McCaffrey trade a couple of years ago. So you hear that every team is buying and they're looking, and the Cowboys and the Dolphins, I'm hearing reports of those teams buying. I don't understand that at all. But generally speaking, who do you think that is really willing to make a step forward to try to make the playoffs?
All right, so in my reporting over the last couple of weeks, and I'll add a couple more things to it. So I put out a couple of weeks ago that the Steelers are in on Mike Williams. ESPN had a report, but before Mike Williams, they were in on Christian Kirk. Kirk breaks his collarbone. He's out for the season. I'm told the Steelers are still in on Mike Williams. We'll see what happens by tomorrow's deadline at 4 p.m. Eastern. The Steelers have been probably better than most people thought. I like that. It's funny. I remember in May, I'm like, if you like the Steelers, you better get on them now because that 7.5 win total for the futures numbers is going way up. It jumped up to 8.5, and I thought that was too low. They're going to be way better than that. But the one thing they need is wide receiver. Van Jefferson's the guy that they brought in. He played for Arthur Smith, their offensive coordinator, when the two were in Atlanta. Hasn't really worked out. He's no longer starting. They're trying to figure it out. Opposite George Pickens and Roman Wilson, a guy I know who had a great training camp for 2 weeks. He got hurt with a hamstring injury, and he's had too many injuries. He's on injury reserve, so they have to do something with receiver. It doesn't have to be a great player. Just a veteran could come in and play right away. So they're in on it. Washington, I'm told, is looking for cornerback help. I'm told they've checked into, I will make this perfectly clear, they've checked into J.C. Horn. That's a big name. I'm told he's not available now. That doesn't mean that you can't keep calling, because I know from talking to GMs over the years and clubs, when your total player's not available and the team's out of it, you might want to try a couple more times. But the Commanders are clearly looking for corners. They also need receiver help, to be honest with you. Now, that's a team, Craig, I know you like them. They've exceeded expectations. I am stunned at how good they are, but they got to play the Eagles in 2 weeks. They got to actually play them twice. And they also have to play the Steelers this week.
Yeah, I still like them. I'm telling you, Super Bowl. Call me crazy.
What are their odds,
see it.
by the way? What are their future numbers? Do we know?
It's all the way down. I don't know. I'll have to check the latest. It was 20-something to 1. I don't know that it's still there at this point. We'll see. Every week it goes down. Maybe it's under 20 to 1. Frank, check that for me while we can. Giants, Panthers, Browns. Yeah. I know that you're reporting that all three of those teams have players that could be on the move.
Yeah, and look, this is what happens, Craig. I know you cover Major League Baseball very closely. When teams know that they're out of it, what they do two things. A, they look to move players either not going to come back, they're older players or players they know that are going to be free agents and they can get something for. Like the Browns here with Zadarius Smith, okay? This is not a secret. He's been on the block for about a month or 6 weeks, probably basically about a month. Teams have called the Browns, and there was a report from Pro Football Talk that he's almost certain to go to the Lions. The Lions lost Aiden Hutchinson. That's a natural. The Lions are now the NFL's best team in the NFC. We know that. And then you've got the Chiefs, by the way. They're looking for receiver help. Well, you could the Chiefs made the one trade for D-Hop. They're still very light at receiver. Darius Slayton's a guy that is got some time left on his contract, but it's a situation. They're a really bad football team. The Giants did not expect to be this bad. You look at, honestly, you look at these other teams here. Look at the Patriots. KG Osborne. KG Osborne was brought in as a free agent. He was a healthy and active. They have young receivers they want to look at. These things are easy to match up. When a guy's inactive who should be starting, you know that this guy is probably going to be moved. You look at Cam Robinson last week. He was a healthy and active for the Jaguars. He got moved to the Vikings who need a left tackle. That's the way it works.
So the Atlanta Falcons are a team that definitely feels like they're headed toward the playoffs, especially with the Buccaneers having the issues that they have. Do you feel like that's a team that could be active at some point?
Yeah. In fact, look, they made the trade with the Patriots for Matthew Judon. It hasn't quite worked out. I'm told they're still looking for pass rush help. They got to do something. You mentioned teams that are out of it. The Dolphins they're not technically out of the wild card race, but we know they're not going to get there. Kendall Fuller, he's got a very tradable contract. He's a good football player, more of a number 2 corner. Keep an eye on him tomorrow. These are the type of guys you said, Craig. It's not, you don't see a lot of big names moved, but there's a reason why GMs asked for the trade line to be moved 2 weeks back. Teams that are still in it, 3-4, 4 or 5 wins, they're still going to make calls and still try to get players that can help them get one of those wild card spots.
Yeah. By the way, real quick, Dallas, you buy what Jerry Jones said yesterday? They're going to add tomorrow?
What could they need a running back. Now, that's the one position that Jerry completely missed out on that. Remember, he's not only the owner, he's the GM. They absolutely have to do something at running back. And
all right, Adam. Thanks again.
You got it.